Welcome to the Women Living Well After 50 podcast. I'm Sulon Carrick and I'm passionate about inspiring, motivating, supporting and informing women over 50 to embrace this exciting time of life. Health and wellness in mind, body and spirit are the foundations for living well, but there is so much more to a life well lived. Each week, through conversations with my guests, I'll be presenting topics that will help us all to live well and enjoy life. So join me as we discover new ways to become women living well after 50. Are you ready to start living? What are you waiting for? Let's get started. Welcome to Micro Mondays, the time to reset and refocus for the week ahead. I'm Sulon Carrick and it's lovely to have you join me this week. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about self-worth and why it's important to celebrate our successes. So self-worth, how do you rate yours? Do you sometimes feel that you're not good enough? I know I used to feel that way for many years and sometimes I still do. And I'm not sure who really set the bar in society, but as a teenager and well into my life, I always felt I wasn't quite good enough. Can you relate to that? I also know that growing up, it wasn't the done thing to celebrate our successes and to shout them out to the world. It was viewed as being a bit proud, and as the saying goes, pride goes before a fall. So we always held in our beliefs and our successes and probably highlighted the times that we didn't do very well. And other people are good at that too, aren't they? They highlight what you don't do well, but don't necessarily congratulate you for when you do well. So I want to talk about self-worth first of all, but before we get into that, I want to celebrate something, and that's the first anniversary of the Women Living Well After 50 podcast. It started back on August the 1st last year, and if you knew how nervous I was because someone with low self-esteem, to press that publish button and go live, put myself and my voice out there, it was not easy for me, but I rose to the challenge and I did it. And I just feel so good that I've gone for the year with the podcast. I've had wonderful comments and I've had over 10,000 downloads, of which I'm very grateful to all of you who have listened, commented, given me feedback and subscribed. So I hope that I'll keep going with this venture because it certainly does help my self-esteem and my self-confidence. So, okay, let's get back to self-worth. I want to share a quote with you by Rob Liano. Self-respect, self-worth, and self-love all start with self. So stop looking outside yourself for your value. How much value do you place on yourself? Well, it's not necessarily determined by our successes or failures, but it is determined by how we view ourselves and what value we place on that. Now, sometimes we let that negative voice or the limiting beliefs come in and take over, and some others might look at us and value us as the person we are, but we can't value ourselves. And after a while, if we start being negative about ourselves and being self-critical, and especially when we're putting ourselves down in front of others, how can we expect them to respect us as the person we are when we don't respect ourselves or believe in ourselves? So it's very important that we have, for our confidence and our self-esteem, we have to have that self-worth, to know that we are of value. We're unique. There's no one else like me on the planet, and even with all my faults, I'm happy, I'm proud that there's no one else like me. I'm unique, and so are you. You're unique, beautiful, and special, and we all have something to contribute to this world that we live in. And our value isn't determined by how successful we are. Our value is determined by how we feel about ourselves and the person that we are and how we live our life. Now, we all know that comparison can be the killer of self-worth, and I speak about that often. The way we compare ourselves to others, the way we set that benchmark for ourselves, it's so high and almost unattainable at times. And it's difficult not to compare. We all do it. There'll always be someone who looks so perfect and is more beautiful, brighter, and better than us, or they're living that perfect life that we see on social media, and then we start to compare. But we need to look at ourselves, look at you, look at yourself in the mirror, and acknowledge the unique qualities that you have, the special qualities, the reason that you are here on earth, because you are of value. Our unique qualities make us who we are. And we don't have to be perfect. No one's perfect. But we need to really believe in ourselves, have that self-value. We are just as important as anyone else. Now, let's talk about successes and wins, because we don't usually like to beat our own drum, do we? But it's important that we do. And at the moment, for many of us, we've been in lockdown in COVID and still in lockdown. So it's important to perhaps look at the positives and what we've done in our life that we're proud of, because we can help the situation by just, we're stuck at home. It's easy to get down. It's easy to get depressed. So let's try and change that by looking at the little successes or things that you've been proud of in your life. So I've got an exercise or two that I want you to try this week. The first one is to write down at least 3 things that you've done in your life that you're proud of. Now, they don't have to be earth-shattering. The success is relative. So I want you to think about what you've done that you're proud of. Now, what prompted me to talk about this in this topic this week was I was looking back through my blog and I found a post that I'd written way back in 2019 on this subject. And I'd also listed 3 things that I was proud of. And it was interesting reading back then what I thought. Now, the first one was that I had just recently completed my second full marathon at almost 2 weeks before my 61st birthday. Now, that was something that I never thought I'd do after my first one. And since then, I ran a third marathon last year. And that was something that I am very proud of, the fact that I didn't start running till I was 50, and the fact that I've completed 3 full marathons. So that's something that I'm proud of. Secondly, I'm proud of being a role model, and this is so important, much more important than a marathon, but being a role model to my children and grandchildren, teaching them to live healthy and active lives and to be kind and generous to others. I'm also proud of my blog, Women Living Well After 50. I've had it for over 6 years now. It did have a different name for a little while, but it's my voice and the reflection of the person that I am. And I'm helping and encouraging other women to live life their way and to live well. And I'm proud of that. And I'm going to throw a 4th one in, and that's the podcast. I'm so very proud of my podcast because, yes, I'm not your most confident person in the world. So it is a challenge to get up in front of a camera and in front of a microphone and to talk and to listen to yourself back. I mean, that's the difficult part, looking at yourself and listening to yourself. But I'm proud that I made that step, that I pushed that button. I overcame my fears and I've had such a positive response. So what I want you to do is write down 3 things that you've done in your life that you're proud of. And I'd love you to share those with me. The second exercise I want you to do is something that I've picked up. I forget where I read it or heard it on a podcast, but every night before you go to bed, I want you to write down one little win that you've had during that day. Now, wins and successes don't have to be earth-shattering. For those of us in lockdown, it might be, as I said, getting up out of bed, getting dressed, perhaps not in our track pants, and perhaps putting on a bit of makeup. That might be the win. Being able to do that rather than saying, oh, I just can't face life today. But there might be other little wins that you've had during the day. I want you to write one down. And if you do that every night, that's going to build up your self-confidence, because you'll read back and every day you will have a little win. You'll have a little success. And whether it be, I didn't eat unhealthy food today, or I went for a walk today, or whatever it is, it's just something that will build up your self-confidence, build that resilience and strength that I know you have inside, and it's just there for you to bring it out and to believe in yourself. So try these exercises. Focus on your successes this week. Focus on what you're so proud of that you've achieved. And I'm going to finish with the question that I started. Self-worth, how do you rate yours? So I'd love to hear back from you and hear what you're proud of and little wins that you've had, because I think that sharing is wonderful and also we learn from each other. So before we go, we're going to go to our weekly meditation where we reset and refocus for the week ahead. And I want you to think about what we've talked about today. Think about your self-worth. Think about how valuable you are as a human being. Think of what you are proud of in your life and be strong and feel good about that. So let's go to the meditation. Now, before we start the week, let's take a moment to reset, and I'd like us to join in together for a 1-minute meditation. I'll be including this at the end of every episode of Micro Mondays, just for us to be able to start the week calmly and with focus and looking forward to the week ahead. So I want you to sit in a comfortable position or lie in a comfortable position. I want you to close your eyes. And we're going to take 1 minute where I want you to just try and clear your mind to prepare for the week ahead. Letting your breath inhale slowly and exhale slowly. Well, thanks for joining me for another Micro Mondays, and I hope you've enjoyed the topic today of self-worth and celebrating our successes, the importance of that. And I hope that you'll share this with a friend who might be interested in the topic and could benefit from it as well. Leave me a comment or let me know what your thoughts are, because I'm always open to hearing what you're doing and how you're feeling. And remember, I'll see you next week for another Micro Mondays. And until then, remember to live well, enjoy life, and most of all, start living life your way. Have a great week. See you next Monday. Bye for now.